What is going on, guys? My name is Taylor Stuber. I'm here to break down this 4-game preseason NBA slate over on Draftkings Fanduel and PrizePicks.com. Of course, the sponsor of this video. Big shout out to PrizePicks. It is Wednesday, December 16th. The 15th, yesterday, was a pretty forgettable slate. For some respects. Other parts were pretty good, especially the showdown at night. I nailed Kyle Guy, and he did pretty damn well at very, very low ownership, even on the showdown slate. I know a lot of the guys in the Discord ended up profiting because of that. But we are here to bounce back in a massive, massive way. If you guys haven't already, I would make sure to subscribe, like this video, and then comment below with your favorite play of the day. That will automatically enter you into my weekly giveaway for $25 via PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, whatever it may be. Trying to give back to you guys as much as I possibly can. And of course, my content is completely free, guys. So feel free to do that. The links to my Discord, we are 500 plus strong over on Discord. I answer the questions there all day long. I post my notes, my player pools, what I'm doing over on FanDuel for completely free. Actually, if you go over there right now, my notes, game by game notes, and favorite plays are already up in the Discord, so make sure to join that. And of course, an hour before lock, I will be live streaming over on twitch.tv/Taylor Stuber. Link is in the description. And this slate does start at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, so 5:30 p.m. Central Time I will be live. You can also follow me on Twitter at Taylor Stuber. Link is also in the description. I do this full time, guys, so my ears to the ground with all of this preseason news, and I'm going to be the first to know of any of this information pops up. I'll let you guys know, I'll alert you, and then let you know what I'm doing with said information. But let's just jump right into this 4-game NBA slate. So we will start off with the Cleveland Cavaliers. First, the New York Knicks start with this Cavaliers team, which we are waiting for quite a bit of news throughout the day. But luckily, this is the first game of the slate, so we should get this news well ahead of time. Likely, if it's not before the stream, it'll come during the stream, and I'll break it down for you guys. But Larry Nance, Dellavedova, JaVale McGee, and Matthews are all out this game. Kevin Love, Sexton, Porter Jr., and Osman are all questionable. These are big, big pieces for this Cavs team when it comes to preseason. A lot of these guys can eat up minutes, usage, assist percentage. These are some of their main guys that are going to be playing in the regular season, especially Kevin Love, who's going to command a ton of usage, and the offense is going to run around him in that first half. I don't expect him to play in the second half if he does play, so therefore I'm not interested in him, but it takes away from other guys. They have been playing against the Pacers those first 2 games, which is a pretty tough defense. They are relatively full strength. So now they get a weak matchup against the New York Knicks. So definitely a positive step forward when it comes to matchup. But one of my favorite plays on the slate, and especially in this game, and especially on this team, is Isaac Akoro. He's played 32 and 28 minutes each of his first 2 games. He's only $4,200. Small forward and power forward eligibility. So we like that multi-position eligibility. Makes it easier to get him in your lineup. So I like Isaac Akoro quite a bit. He's been starting the games, and he's been closing. He's been playing like all the fourth quarter. We saw that first game. I believe he scored like 16 points in that fourth quarter. Ended up winning the game for them. He's a rookie, obviously, so real young guy, trying to get him involved and adapted to the NBA. So Akoro is a really, really good play at 4,200. Now, hopefully, we get some of these guys like Porter and Osman out, but regardless, I think he should play around that 30-minute mark and should do pretty well in those minutes. Darius Garland is another guy that I'm somewhat interested in on this slate. He's only $4,800. He's been playing mid to high 20s in minutes. If Sexton and or Osman are out again, I like him even more, especially with Sexton out. His assist percentage goes up a bit. So I'm a pretty big fan of Darius Garland as a GPP play. Probably not going to make my final one team roster, but nonetheless, I do like Darius Garland quite a bit. Andre Drummond, I think he's one of the better pay-up options at $7,500. He barely played the first game, but the second game, he played 23 minutes and absolutely smashed in that game. Now, a lot of people probably didn't see this last game because it was an hour before the main slate, but we played the showdown if you were in the Discord, so we know how well Andre Drummond ended up doing. He's averaging 1.22 fantasy points per minute in their first 2 games, so I think Andre Drummond is one of the better pay-up options. I expect him to play 24, 25, maybe 26 minutes into the third quarter at least. So Andre Drummond, 7,500, pretty solid play. But yeah, like I said, these Cavaliers guys are pretty reliant on the injury news. So that's something we're going to have to monitor throughout the day. On the opposite side of the court, we got the New York Knicks. These guys have made us a ton of money in the 2 games that they have played. They are probably the most predictable team on the slate when it comes to a couple of these guys. Especially because everybody's healthy right now, and we've still seen it. Expect Julius Randle and RJ Barrett to play 30 minutes minimum this game. Barrett played 36 minutes that last game. Randle played 32. Now, the other starters like Elfrid Payton, Noel, who's splitting minutes with Mitchell Robinson, aren't playing that many minutes. They're playing like low 20s minutes. Now, they do have the opportunity to play 30 minutes, which makes them great GPP plays. But guys like Randle and RJ Barrett are pretty much must plays at this point in time as I'm recording this video. And I don't see that changing all that much unless we get word that they're just actively not going to play them that much. Because unless I hear that, it's hard for me to get away from them, especially with their prices. I mean, RJ Barrett is $5,500. Somehow he's going to end up not being 100% owned for whatever reason, and it's going to be ridiculous. They were mix and matching the other players. I already said that. And then Barrett leads the team with a 28.1% usage rating while averaging 0.89 fantasy points per minute. But yeah, $5,500 is way too cheap. Julius Randle, on the other hand, is averaging 1.12 fantasy points per minute and should play 30 plus minutes. So do the math. That's over 30 fantasy points for $6,600 and a great matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I love Julius Randle today as well as RJ Barrett. Go over to the Chicago Bulls. One of the best plays on the slate is also on this team. Satoransky, Temple, Thad Young, Valentine, Dotson, and Makoko are all out. The starters saw an increase in minutes last game and should play mid to high 20s in minutes, which is really, really good, especially on this slate, with it only being 4 games. Kobe White played 32 minutes that last game. A lot of that had to do with Satoransky being out. We saw last year, the last like 10 plus games of the year, Kobe White took that starting spot away from Satoransky. His usage went up, and his assist percentage went way, way up. White leads the team with a 27% usage rating, 32.4% assist percentage, while averaging 1.16 fantasy points per minute through this preseason so far. And I expect those numbers to pretty much stay for the most part. Zach LaVine has a 25.5% usage rating while averaging 1.2 fantasy points per minute. He's a bit more expensive. I prefer Kobe White for sure. It was weird. We saw the starters run all the way through the third quarter, and they were all done except Kobe White. He came back in for an extra stint in the fourth quarter, which was just amazing to see. Now, even if he didn't get that short stint in the fourth quarter, he would have done amazing. But at $7,000, if we know he's going to play 28, 30 minutes at minimum, yeah, I'm going to get a ton of Kobe White into my lineups. Ryan Arcidiacono, one of my favorite sleeper GPP plays on the slate. He filled in for that Satoransky role off the bench. He's averaging just over a fantasy point per minute, and he's minimum price. He's $4,000. So if you guys need a minimum price guy, dead minimum, Ryan Arcidiacono is my guy as of right now. I think he's a really, really good play, and I guarantee he's probably single-digit ownership tomorrow. Wendell Carter Jr. should see an increase in minutes, and I think he's just too cheap at $5,100. I think that's a really good, really solid play. Should play anywhere from 24 to 26 minutes. Averages about fantasy point per minute. So I like him at $5,100. Think he's a bit too cheap. Go over to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, this team right here is completely different than what we saw in that first game. They had a million people out that last game. We see Darius Miller and Jerome are still out this game. Ariza is questionable, but we get guys back like Al Horford, Baisley, Dort. A bunch of these guys are going to be playing that didn't play in that first game. We saw that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he was one of the most popular plays that first slate for good reason. He played 19 minutes, but that was all in the first half. So if we get news that he is going to play into the second half, he's one of the best plays. Even with all these guys returning, he's going to lead that team in usage, assist percentage, and if he can get into that 24-25 minute range at $6,200, he instantly becomes a really, really good play. Now, if he's only playing the first half, I wouldn't expect him to be nearly as efficient as he was that first game. But would be a somewhat decent play in that case. Al Horford at 5,000 could be too cheap, but again, we're really going to have to keep our ear to the ground on news when it comes to Oklahoma City Thunder, what they're going to do with the rotations, how many minutes they're going to be playing, and if Ariza is playing as well, that could cut into some of the guys' minutes. But Bazley and Diallo, those guys are on my radar as some cheaper plays that could end up playing mid-20s minutes. And I think Bazley, I was wanting to play him that first slate, but he ended up being ruled out. So Diallo ended up playing a ton of minutes well deep into the fourth quarter at 4,300 could be an awesome play as well. But with the Thunder, it comes with the territory of really knowing how many minutes these guys are going to play. And hopefully we get some news sometime tomorrow. I'm going to talk about it more in the stream. I'm sure we'll get news by that time. So move over to the third game with the Portland Trailblazers versus the Denver Nuggets. Talking about the Trailblazers here. Yeah, up top with Lillard and McCollum, I'm not really interested in playing either of those guys. They've barely been playing. Collins is out this game. Anthony Simmons is questionable. Nurkic returned to the last game. Only played 13 minutes. I wouldn't expect him to play much more. I think that Terry Stotts is really just trying to keep the minutes low for Lillard, McCollum, Nurkic throughout the preseason. Cantor only played 13 minutes last game as well, even though he was the first guy off the bench for Nurkic. Harry Giles didn't see the court until midway through the second quarter. But man, he's only $4,100. And if you've been playing preseason, you know what's going on with Harry Giles. He's averaging an absurd 1.77 fantasy points per minute. Only $4,100. He's played 25 and 26 minutes respectively. I don't know how you do not play him on this slate. You're really just playing with fire there. You're going to be really, really contrarian if you ended up fading him. But $4,100, I'm not going away from him. I'm going to continue to play him. Probably the best play on the slate and definitely the best point per dollar play on the slate. Gary Trent Jr. played 34 minutes last game. With Lillard and McCollum not playing all that much, Trent will be out there for extended periods of time. He ended up closing the game. Only $5,400. I mean, that's a decent price. You're going to be fading guys like Wendell Carter Jr., like Talon Horton Tucker in that price range if you end up playing him. So he's going to be contrarian, but he was chucking when he's out there. And if he gets hot, he gets hot. If you played preseasons past or like Summer League when he was playing, when he gets hot and he's shooting, it can go really, really well for you. Move over to the Denver Nuggets. Hampton and Whittington are both questionable. Doesn't really matter all that much. The starters played 22 to 25 minutes last game. That's a plus. If they play 22 to 25 minutes, these guys are going to be pretty solid plays. Jokic had stat line 26 points, 10 boards, 5 assists in only 23 minutes. He had a 26% usage rating, 50% assist percentage, 20.4 total rebound percentage, while averaging 2.2 fantasy points per minute. Absolute insanity for Nikola Jokic. And I like him again at 8,600. I think that's more than playable. I have him in my lineup as of right now. I'm on my first build because I think that he plays minimum 22 to 26 minutes. Now, the Nuggets might go ahead and play their starters deeper into the third quarter. They might play 26 minutes, 26 to 28 minutes. Who knows as of right now? So if he gets in that 25-minute range, he's an absolute smash play at 8,600. Like him a ton. I think Jamal Murray is probably a bit too cheap at 6,100. He was really passive in that first game. Now, that's not really normal for Jamal Murray, even though I do think he's going to take a bit of a step back in terms of offense at times, just because he's going to be playing the majority of his minutes next to Michael Porter Jr., who commands a ton of usage. Murray only had a 14% usage rating that first game. Now, I don't think that stands at all. I think he's going to be more in that 24% range on the season. So I expect an uptick in shots for Jamal Murray this game, and I'm not really interested in this bench at all. When these teams are playing their normal rotations for the first part through the third quarter, these bench guys, unless they are getting heavy minutes in the first half and are going to close, I'm not really interested in these bench guys. Move over to the last game of the night with the Los Angeles Lakers. Another team that has made us a ton of money in the preseason so far. Caruso is doubtful this game, so don't expect him to play. But we do get to see Anthony Davis and LeBron James for the first time in this preseason. They are debuting today. They only played the first half. Now, they're priced at $9,600 and $9,400. I'm not playing them. They have to play absolutely lights out to even get to like 30 fantasy points in that first half. And I think there's better plays for cheaper that can get you in that 30-point range. Even guys like Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, they're going to play probably double the minutes of these Lakers guys for a fraction of the cost. They're probably going to be popular, and even on Prize Picks, as soon as these prices drop, or these projections drop on Prize Picks, I'm going to be all over it, because I'm assuming that they're going to place them at like 28 to 30. The Anthony Davis and LeBron James, I'm just going to hammer the under. I mean, they could do well, but just not worth the price with only playing one half, when we know a lot of these teams are going to be playing 10 plus more minutes than those guys. Talon Horton-Tucker, Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, Dennis Schroeder should be in the first half rotation, which is a positive, and they should be closing the game. If you looked at last game's rotations, I should have brought it up for this video. I'll post it in the Discord for you guys to take a look at. But they played pretty much the entire second half, which is something we could see in this game, because just because LeBron James and Anthony Davis are playing the first half does not mean that they're not going to play the majority of that second half. Pretty much all of those guys, outside of Schroeder, who was obviously out that game, played the entire fourth quarter. Where it's going. So yeah, so I expect those guys that I just mentioned to play in the mid-20s minutes, if not more. Don't expect the same usage at all from those guys in the first half. In the second half, yeah, they can return. Guys like Talon Horton-Tucker, I think his usage will go back up to what it's been in that second half. But Horton-Tucker, he's only $5,500. We know what's been going on with him. He's been playing amazing. I think he's still a great play. He's averaging 1.38 fantasy points per minute in 78 minutes. He played all but 52 seconds in that second half. I think he's going to be in that rotation in the first half, maybe play 6, 8, maybe 10 minutes in that first half, somewhere in that range. And then in the second half, he could play 22, 24 minutes for all we know. If he plays 30 plus minutes again with that kind of usage in the second half, $5,500, I'm going to be all over him. And he's shooting guard and small forward eligible, so he has that roster flexibility. I'm going to want to go back to the well with THT. Go over to the Phoenix Suns, the last team of the slate. Crowder, Sarge, and Cam Johnson are all questionable. They missed last game. Chris Paul played his first game last time out, played 18 minutes. His last game, notable minutes. Booker played 28, really good. Bridges 29, 8 and 25, all good. Those are all big positives. Ayton only 6,900. Really good play. But I think Devin Booker, along with Nikola Jokic, are probably my two favorite spend ups. If he's going to play 28 to 30 minutes, I'm going to be all over him. He's had a 29.6 usage percentage so far through these first two games. And, you know, Booker and Ayton, I talked about it just on an NBA standpoint. They're going to be far more efficient this year playing next to Chris Paul. He's more of a game manager out there at this point in his career. And we saw what he did with the Thunder last year. He made all the surrounding players around him much better. And so if we get Devin Booker with a near 30% usage rating, having Chris Paul manage that offense, there's going to be some big nights for Devin Booker. And I'm going to be all over it, especially against a Lakers team who's going to have their backups and no LeBron or AD in that second half for a lot of Devin Booker's run. So I'm going to go back to the well with some of these Suns guys. But yeah, man, make sure to join this stream an hour before at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Make sure to join the Discord. Link is right there. Link is also below. And then make sure to subscribe and like if you haven't already. Would really appreciate that. We have over 500 people in the Discord right now, so that's awesome. I'm trying to get to over 1,000 by the end of this NBA season. So if you guys want to join, participate, get your questions answered all day, get some free content, because I'm telling you, the content that I'm giving you, people pay a lot of money for elsewhere, and I guarantee my product is probably quite a bit better. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm putting in the time. I do this full time, so just trying to help you guys out. grow a little community, have some fun, win some money. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. Enjoy your viewership so much. And until next time, peace.